Now, if you've arrived to this point, you've already mastered how to make raw footage really good inside of Premiere Pro. And from now on, we can move on to stage number two. And stage number two, or pillar number two of creating viral high quality videos, is creating very good text. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, everything that has to do with visuals is probably going to be taken care of inside of After Effects when it comes to you editing for clients. However, it's very important that we learn how to create these visuals inside of Premiere Pro, whether it is animations, whether it is the text style or the text look of our text, whether it is the look of our video, whatever it is, all these visuals, we have to learn how to make them in Premiere Pro so that we understand how we can make them better in After Effects. I can't instantly teach it to you guys in After Effects. And text is one of those things where you're going to be doing half of it in Premiere Pro and half of it in After Effects. You see, Premiere Pro is super good because it can generate the text for us. So we don't have to sit there and, as usual, create a text layer for every single word we say and write it out in subtitles. Instead, it can generate that for us and make it immediately. And we could talk about that very soon. However, it's very important to realize that Premiere Pro is limited when it comes to visuals. The effects that you can add to make something look good are very limited. So you can only make things look so good before they you're going to need a different program to make them look even better. So for that reason, what we end up doing is we create the text inside of Premiere Pro, and then we bring it into After Effects and start making our text style in After Effects. However, we're first going to be teaching you guys how to make the text inside of Premiere Pro and how to make some basic text inside of Premiere Pro so that you guys can get started on editing some videos. And then once we get into After Effects, you guys are going to learn how to make the best kind of text and the best kind of text animations. So with this being said, guys, let us dive right in. The first thing that we need to understand about making text and the way that we are going to master text is, I've got the courses over here laid out. The first thing we can do is learn how we can generate subtitles and everything that has to do with the generation of subtitles inside of Premiere Pro. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to learn the fundamentals of a text style. We're going to create our own text style, learn the fundamentals and how we can make text look good inside of Premiere Pro. The third thing we're going to be doing is learning the fundamentals of text animations, and we're going to be creating our own text animations for the text which we have inside of Premiere Pro. And the fourth thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some basic visual effects. So we're going to be talking about drop shadows, glows, how you can use these with text, how you can alternate in between colors, and then finally we're going to be practicing and putting it all together inside of Premiere Pro. So with this being said, guys, if you're ready to master the second stage of video editing, let's dive right into text. And the first thing we need to dive into is creating subtitles. So I've got my sequence over here. I'm gonna quickly play through it for you guys. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably gonna say something absolutely useless. And as you guys can see, it is a pretty simple and straightforward video. It's the same one we've been working with, and all we've got over here is J-cuts and some zoom-ins. And now we're going to add on top of this the layer of text. So how do we generate text inside of Premiere Pro? I'm going to quickly break this down for you guys verbally so I can explain it, and then we're going to go ahead and do it inside of Premiere Pro. To generate text inside of Premiere Pro, basically there are a few steps we need to follow. Step one is, now that we hear the audio, we first need to convert this audio into words. Okay, before we can convert it to subtitles. So this first step is called transcribing, okay? Transcribing is hearing the audio which is happening and then changing that into words which are written inside of our program. Then the second step is captions, which is where we take that and we turn them into subtitles. So we first need to change the audio into a transcription, and then we need to change the transcription into subtitles. And once we do this, we're going to have what we call a subtitle layer inside of Premiere Pro, which is a layer that just contains all of our subtitles. And I'm going to be showing you guys why it's more useful to convert that into a different kind of layer and how you could do that and how we're going to be creating our text style from there. So with this being said, guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay. Let's say we want to make our text generate our subtitles. The first thing you have to do is open up your text window. So over here, I've got it open already. All you do is you go up to window and you go over here down until you can find text. It's going to open up somewhere like this. If you don't like where it is, just undock it like that and then just place it somewhere you like. So I've always just had it over here in the top left. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it here. Your text window is made up of three sections. You've got transcription, captions, and graphics. And these are the three phases of creating subtitles. Number one, it's transcribing. It is turning your current audio into a transcription. And number two is turning that transcription into captions. So turning those words into a subtitle that is inside of Premiere Pro. And number three is changing those subtitles and affecting the graphics and how they look and so on and so forth. So the first thing we're going to be doing is transcribing. And the best way to do transcription is, now that you've got all your clips inside of here, if you click on your transcribe section, there are two ways to do transcription. You can either click on transcribe over here for it to do your transcription for you, or you can click on the three dots and click on generate static transcription. What's the difference? if you transcribe it like this, using this blue button here, it's basically going to transcribe your entire raw footage, right? So all the raw footage before with the cuts, so all of that whole big section without any cuts, it's going to transcribe all of that, and then it's going to change that transcription based on the cuts that you have here, which means it's going to, if you ever extend your video, you're always going to have the transcription available for that, right? So if you ever wanted to change a cut or whatever, you have the transcription there. If not, then you could generate a static transcript. Honestly, both of them are good. Sometimes people click on this and run into issues. Sometimes people click on this and run into issues. So I just advise you to try whichever one works. And for this one, we're going to try the blue transcribe button. When I click on transcribe, it's going to be loading like so. Now, what's happening right now is Premiere Pro, that was quick, is basically listening through our audio and changing it into words. So it's typing out everything that is happening, and this is what it assumes. And so after it completes its transcription, we move on to our second step, which is us checking through it to make sure everything is clean. There are two things you need to do here. Number one, check for spelling mistakes, check for if you ever pronounce names and Premiere Pro doesn't pronounce them correctly. And number three, you also have to check for word mistakes. So if you ever mention a word and then it doesn't say it correctly, you gotta make sure that you check for it. So all that we do to check that is we just play through it, and as I play through it, this is a sample video. Notice how it highlights every word that I'm saying. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing through this video and also reading through here to make sure there are no mistakes. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Now, one thing to keep in mind is with J-cuts, because there is a moment here where the audio overlaps, it's also going to be confused. It's going to give you these three dots. So this is where you could start changing things. So when you have three dots like this, so here I say a sample video. So notice how this period here, it doesn't know what to say. And then it just goes straight to video, right? Sample video. So all I'm going to do is, because before video I say a sample, I'm just going to click here once using my type tool. I'm going to write out a video sample. Is where I speak and, excuse me, we're going to go ahead and clear this. Sorry, we're going to double click on this and we're going to open up our text box and type out a sample like this. And then just click out and there you go. Sample video is, see? Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. So over here, it translated pauses to bosses. So I'm going to double click and change this to pauses like this. Pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. And the rest of it is correct. So with this being said, that completes our transcription, which is a positive. So what have we done so far? We just clicked on the transcribe. So it listened through our audio and it changed it into words. And then we literally just went through the words and double check if there are any spelling mistakes or if there are any words that are missing. And the best way to change them is to double click on the area and change that. Now, what are the buttons here and what do each of them do? Honestly, most of them are not important. I don't ever use these. The only one that's important is this one here, which generate the captions, which we'll talk about in just a second. But there's also one more step which you need to do, the transcription, and you guys are going to understand this in just a bit. I'm not going to do it so that you guys see what the issue is, but then you guys are going to do it later on in the final test when it comes to the end of this masterclass. But I'm going to tell you either way. The last step when it comes to transcription is you have to double click and you have to remove all of the periods, you have to remove all the commas, and you have to remove all of these, not the apostrophes and stuff, just remove the commas and the periods. That is because Premiere Pro likes to generate commas and periods as if it's someone who is speaking. However, it's going to mess up with our subtitle layers. So if we want to create any subtitle layers and we've got dots there and periods and commas, it's probably going to just look very weird. Like you've never seen subtitles with periods and commas. So for that reason, you just want to make sure to get those out of the way. But with that being said, you guys will see how we do that at the end. So for now, we've completed our transcription. So now our Premiere Pro has taken our audio, listened through it, and changed it into words. How do we change this into captions? Very simply, you just go over to here on CC and you click on this. It's going to open up this text. Or you could go over to captions and you can click create new captions from transcript, because what you have now is called a transcription. A transcription is your audio written out as words. And so you can click on create captions from transcript. It's going to take the transcript and turn it into captions. So with this being said, what do we do here? Well, if we just click on this and just open this thing up, let's go ahead and talk through the settings. There are a few settings to creating captions. A lot of them affect how long the captions are or what style they are in or what's their placement, so on and so forth. And we're going to be changing these based on our preference. First, let's go ahead and understand them, and then let's go ahead and change them. So the first thing we need to understand is the preset. So we have a subtitle default. This preset basically determines the size and the placement of your captions. Like, for example, a teletext default is like the teletext that appears on the teleprompter. But I'm just going to leave it at subtitle default because either way, we're going to be changing this after we create it. Under our captions, the format is going to be in subtitle, okay? The stream, we're just going to leave that as it is. The style, if you have any text styles downloaded over here, then you can go ahead and select it, which I'll show you guys how to do that in the next course, not in this one right now. I'll show you guys how to save your text style and how to use it in your project files. But if you don't have any text style inside of your project files over here, then you probably won't be able to select anything here. That's okay, because we're going to be generating the subtitles and then creating our text style, so don't worry about it. And then you've got the three big knobs. So you've got maximum length in characters, which is how many characters can appear on the screen at the same time. And 42 characters is a average sentence. 20 characters is like 2 words usually. And then like anything above that is a complete full sentence. Okay, so this depends. Do you want subtitles that are full sentences, or do you want subtitles that are just 1 or 2 words? You guys are just going to see how we're going to be using them. The minimum duration is how long each text or subtitle has to be. So if you set it to 3 seconds, every 3 seconds it's going to generate the words. If you set it to 2 seconds, every 2 seconds it's going to generate the words. And if you set it to 4 seconds, it's going to generate words every 4 seconds. The gap between captions is if you want to leave any kind of space in between them, you can increase this and just kind of leave any space in between those captions. But this is all going to make sense once we click on create our captions. And then the lines is how many lines do you want your subtitles to be? Do you want them to be double lines or single lines? Okay. So all of these just affect what your captions are going to look like, and you can just mess around with these and get different results, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. But I just want to show you guys what we're going to be doing. So if you have a text style in mind, then you could probably mimic it right now, but we're going to be creating our text style as we go. And for that reason, I'm going to probably just choose something like 2 words, maybe 2 or 3 words. So I'm just going to go with like 40 for now, just for you guys. And I'm going to set the minimum duration to like 2 seconds. That should be pretty good. Just because I want them to be smaller, I'm going to leave no gap, and I'm just going to make sure they're all single. Okay, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. So leave everything as it is and just mess around with these until you get the result which you like. And with this being said, once you click on create captions, you can give it a minute, and it's going to create a bunch of things. So a lot of things just happen now. Now all of a sudden there are these texts inside of our captions there, and all of a sudden there's this weird layer on top here. So this weird layer on top over here is called a subtitle layer. And what a subtitle layer is it's a layer that does not behave like a video. It behaves just only as a subtitle. And you can't move its position. You can't do anything with it. If I go to effect controls and I select it, I can't do anything here. My properties, I can only change the text. So you guys are going to be learning how you could change this text and make it look better, which you can also do like wherever you want. But you guys need to understand something. A subtitle layer is not where you want to be as inside of Premiere Pro. Just going to make this thing a bit better so that we can a bit bigger so that we could see it like so. Okay, apparently not. Okay, don't worry about it. But one thing you guys just need to keep in mind is that when it comes to Premiere Pro, subtitle layers are probably not what we want to work with, right? They are interesting, they're good, they allow you guys to see the subtitles, they allow you to change the subtitles, change the text style, but they don't allow you to add any animations, and you can't really customize them that much. So I'm going to be teaching you guys how to convert them into captions in another course, just like that text layer which we made earlier on. But for now, this is how you get to this point, okay? And over here in the top left, what you've got is you've got what each subtitle contains. So this subtitle contains, this is a sample video, and you can double click and change anything about it, right? And then you can click on this one. A sample video is where I speak, and you guys can see if I wrote something else, it's going to be different, right? So I'm going to quickly undo this. Take a few pauses, there we go, and you could just click on each one and you could see exactly where each caption starts and where it ends, and it all makes total sense, okay? So yeah, with this being said, the next step from here on is to create your text style and start adding some style to this, and then the last step is to create a text animation, and you guys have good subtitles in Premiere Pro. So with this being said, guys, I'm going to see you in the next episode in which we're going to be turning this into a text style. But real quick before we do this, let me quickly redo this entire process just to review it with you guys. So let's go ahead and select all of these and delete them just like this. Now let's say I've got this whole section. All I gotta do is go over to my text. Whoops, went over to my export settings. That's not what we want to do. Go over to my text, go over to my transcript, and then just click on, our blue transcribe button. So just make sure you do that. I'm going to generate a static transcript just to show you guys what it is. We'll give it a moment to do the transcription. There we go. And then we're going to go over to our button over here, click on create captions. We're going to set this to 40 and set this to 2 seconds. You don't have to, but it just looks better. Set this to single. And let's create the captions. We'll give it a moment, and we're going to get this subtitle layer. Now you can't have 2 subtitle layers in Premiere Pro. You can only have 1. So if I unhide this, this one's going to be hidden. So we're just going to go ahead and delete the bottom track and just leave the top subtitle layer. Okay. And with this being said, this kind of moves us into our next course, in which we're going to be adding a text style into all of this text. So now that you guys understand how to transcribe, turn into captions, and generate subtitles inside of Premiere Pro, let's go ahead and turn these into the best text styles you guys have ever seen. I'll see you guys in the next course.